The annals of history are replete with tales of epic battles, strategic maneuvers, and courageous heroes. However, warfare in ancient civilizations was not just about physical prowess and tactical brilliance. It was also deeply intertwined with mystic beliefs, superstitions, and the arcane. Many civilizations believed in the power of magic and the supernatural to influence the outcomes of battles. This video explores how the Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, and Aztecs attempted to use magic to shape their military fortunes. Unlike the elaborate combat magic seen in fantasy genres today, the magic used in ancient times was more ritualistic and symbolic, though no less important to those who practiced it. Different cultures had unique approaches that reflected their values, beliefs, and resources. In many fantasy stories, magic is cast actively during battles, as witches may throw fireballs. Wizards control the elements, or spells directly weaken enemies. It's common to see wizards casting spells that decimate entire armies, or warriors imbued with supernatural abilities that make them nearly invincible. By contrast, real-world ancient magic was less direct. In order to gain the favor of the gods and spirits, soldiers performed rituals and invocations beforehand, and they used protective amulets and charms during combat. Rather than control magic directly, they sought supernatural aid and spiritual forces to intervene on their behalf. The magic employed in ancient warfare was often more subtle, indirect, and psychological in its effects. It involved rituals, divination, prophecy, and symbolic acts designed to inspire, frighten, or discourage. The ancient Egyptians held a strong belief in the power of magic. They incorporated it in various aspects of their lives, including warfare. For Egyptians, magic, or heka, was a fundamental force that the gods used to create and maintain the universe. Priests would perform rituals and cast spells to invoke divine protection, or to curse their enemies. The pharaoh, who was considered a divine being, often carried symbols like the crook and flail, which were thought to possess magical powers that could ensure victory in battle. Priests would perform ceremonies asking the gods to grant victory to their pharaoh and strengthen their warriors. Magical charms were commonly placed in tombs to aid the dead in the afterlife, and these were also believed to protect soldiers in battle if placed within the wrappings of mummified animals. Hieroglyphs of gods were inscribed on weapons and armor to invoke divine favor. The ancient Greeks had a deep appreciation for the power of magic and ritual in the context of warfare. They firmly believed that seeking guidance from seers and oracles was crucial before engaging in battle. These highly respected individuals, with the famous Oracle of Delphi being a prominent example, were consulted to gain insights into propitious strategies and predict the potential outcomes of upcoming conflicts. The role of seers and oracles in Greek military campaigns cannot be overstated. Warriors and leaders alike recognized their ability to tap into supernatural forces through divination practices, providing them with invaluable information and advice that could greatly influence the course of war. The consultation process typically involved visiting sacred temples or shrines where these revered figures resided, such as the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. Upon arriving at these holy sites, individuals would present offerings to appease the gods before posing their questions to the oracle. The responses received were often cryptic or riddlesome, requiring careful interpretation by trained priests who acted as intermediaries between mortals and divine entities. Through deciphering these enigmatic messages, seers would extract hidden meanings relevant to martial matters while taking into account celestial signs like bird omens or unusual weather patterns. Seers held an esteemed position within society due to their perceived ability to glimpse beyond mortal limitations into realms unseen by ordinary humans. Their mystical insights were believed capable of revealing advantageous tactics for success on the battlefield, whether it be strategic maneuvers, fortification plans, or even predictive glimpses into moments when victory was at hand. Offerings were made to gods like Athena and Ares in exchange for aid. Soldiers carried protective amulets and recited prayers and incantations before combat, invoking gods or heroes like Achilles. Victory monuments such as trophies were consecrated after battle to thank the gods. The Greeks also believed in the power of mythical creatures and invoked their symbolism in warfare. For instance, the city-state of Athens adopted the owl, a symbol of their patron goddess Athena, as a symbol of wisdom and good fortune in battle. They also believed in pharmaca, a form of protective magic that involved the use of apotropaic symbols or substances to ward off evil. Ancient Roman war magic had much in common with the Greeks. Augurs would read omens before battle, sacrifice to gods like Mars, and perform rituals to purify armies and camps. Amulets would protect soldiers, who also wore special jewelry invoking spiritual powers. The Romans emphasized military discipline and unity, which they saw as having magical effectiveness in itself. Rituals promoted morale and coordinated effort, benefiting the soldiers as they fought. The Romans also believed in the power of military standards, particularly the aquila or eagle standard of the Roman legions, which was considered a sacred symbol that carried the favor of the gods. Losing this standard in battle was seen as a disastrous omen. In addition to their military prowess, the Romans employed a unique and fascinating strategy known as evocatio. This ritualistic practice was designed to secure the allegiance of an enemy city's protective deity by persuading it to abandon its current abode and shift its favor towards Rome instead. The concept behind evocatio was rooted in the belief that every city had a guardian deity who would protect its inhabitants from harm. The Romans recognized this deeply ingrained spiritual connection and sought to exploit it for their own advantage during times of conquest. When faced with the daunting task of subduing an enemy city, Roman leaders would organize elaborate ceremonies aimed at luring away the protective deity. These rituals involved intricate religious rites, sacrifices, and invocations performed by specially chosen priests or magistrates who were well versed in ancient traditions. One key aspect of evocatio was appealing to the deity's sense of self-interest. The Romans strategically highlighted their own strengths, achievements, and benefits they could offer if the deity chose to align itself with them. By emphasizing Rome's advanced civilization, extensive resources, and prosperous future prospects, they attempted to persuade these powerful divine entities that switching allegiances would be advantageous both for themselves and for Rome. The Aztecs of ancient Mexico held a profound belief in magic and the supernatural. They believed that the gods required regular nourishment in the form of human sacrifices, often captured in battle to ensure the continued functioning of the universe. These sacrifices were a crucial part of Aztec warfare and were thought to ensure the gods' favor. They also employed war priests, known as tlatoani, to perform rituals and offer prayers before and during battles. Symbolism and psychological warfare were also significant, with warriors donning the attire of fierce animals or deities to intimidate enemies. The Aztecs also practiced battle magic, making offerings to empower their god of war, Huitzilopochtli. They used drums, banners, and horns intricately decorated with feathers and symbolism to invoke supernatural forces. Hallucinogenic drugs and herbs were sometimes used to induce visions or make warriors fiercer. The Aztecs believed the gods could directly intervene, sometimes sending animal guides to lead the army or strike down enemies. Ancient warfare was as much a psychological and spiritual contest as a physical one. While the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, and Aztecs had vastly different cultures and beliefs, they all shared a common faith in the power of magic to influence the outcomes of battles. Their use of magic in warfare was not the overt, dramatic force seen in fantasy, but it was a vital part of their military strategy nonetheless. It shaped the mindset of warriors, influenced decisions of commanders, and played a significant role in the morale and determination of entire armies. Despite differences between cultures, a common thread is seen. Ancient people worldwide believed spiritual forces could influence warfare, and they performed rituals seeking divine favor and supernatural aid against their enemies. While not as flashy as fantasy magic, these practices and beliefs were enormously meaningful for ancient soldiers and civilizations. War magic helped empower people spiritually against forces beyond their control. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to Connect Paranormal. This will allow us to make more videos.